Okay, you heard that. So we
Mhm.
are recording. I just start with one, two, three, and then go. I can my this it's not vision. It's actually if I close my eyes, it's still there, but it's starting to resolve. So I feel a little more comfortable now.
Okay.
So I just go one, two, three. If for some reason I goof something up pretty dramatically, just say, hey, Bill, time out. And then what we'll do is we'll go back to that question that I asked you and we'll just redo that piece. So that's how
Okay.
I go. I have almost never had to do that, but it can happen. Usually, when I stumble over somebody's name or their product name that I didn't ask them how to pronounce it, really, my fault. Most everything we do is our fault. I've
No,
discovered.
we're going
Can't
to do one take wonders here.
one take wonder. So we're going to do. Okay, here we go. One, two, three. Hi, this is Bill Prater, and welcome to the Business Builder Show, where we feature champions in their respective industries from all over the planet. Our mission is to provide you with timely, provocative, and actionable resources that inspire, promote, and accelerate your quest for business excellence. Today, we're going to find out the secrets to building and growing $1 million business as a solo entrepreneur. And we'll learn that from the champion of doing that, Debbie Allen. Now, Debbie has been herself a serial entrepreneur since she purchased her first business at the age of 19. She was a self-made millionaire by the time she was 32, and she did that by building and selling retail stores. After selling her businesses, she moved into professional speaking and has presented in over 28 countries and authored 10 best-selling books, and that list is growing. Debbie, great to have you on the show. Good to
Wonderful
see
to
you
be
again.
back again, Bill. Always a pleasure with you.
Now, I know that you serve quite lots of folks. So give us an idea of who it is that might be listening to us that you would be a champion for.
I think we all serve people best when we serve our life's work. And my life's work, of course, has been an entrepreneur, but now in over 25 years in the professional speaking world, hosting events, being on events, all of that, traveling internationally and nationally. And so people come to me and say, I want you to share your life's work with me. So that's your experience, right? And so that's, of course, my expertise because I've figured it all out. So my market really is people that are already speakers or want to be speakers, want to make money from speaking, whether that's getting paid to speak or they're a coach. I have a lot of coaches that learn the speaking skills so that they can get in front of a group and then get clients. And then I also have people that just come to me and say, I want to be positioned as an expert. I came from a corporate market. I want to create a side hustle. I want to be an expert. I'll create courses and do online classes and all of that. So basically, everything I've done, I'm teaching to them. Basically, again, my life's work. So, how to use speaking, whether that's online, whether that's in front of a group to get to sell, or getting paid to speak, but that wonderful skill of professional speaking.
So what problems, Debbie, do these folks that you just articulated, what do they share? What problems do they have in common that you're able to solve for them?
They're like most of them are solo entrepreneurs. They started their business like that. And so they're going after one and the next, closing one person at a time. And that's
Okay.
really challenging. They're going to networking events, trying to get, coaches trying to get clients, having to pitch themselves to one person to the next, versus positioning their branding and their marketing as an expert and then get invited to speak in front of the room. Now it's networking on steroids. People come to you, which that Bill, people come to you instead of you going and pushing on them. And then again, you've showcased your expertise, and what a great way then for people to say, hey, I want more of what you're doing.
Excellent. Okay, so a lot of our listeners don't know exactly what you and I have experienced going down that road. So maybe I'm thinking you could tell us out of your memory one or maybe two case studies where such and such person came, they verbalized the following problem, and this is what you did, how you brought them into your net, what the outcomes were. Tell us a couple stories, Debbie.
Okay. A couple come to my mind right away. So one is his name is Glenn, and Glenn was a salon owner for 40 years. He was very successful in Louisiana. And I met him when I spoke at a national speakers chapter because he was going, maybe this is something I want to do because I like to be on stage. I'm a good communicator. And so he was just checking out when he met me. And he realized this. He said, Debbie is, you're going to hire a coach. You don't want one piece. You want somebody who's got the whole wheel. Like she knows how to speak and sell. She knows how to speak professionally, get paid. She knows how to host events. She's got the whole package. I want to learn this. So a lot of people that get into be a professional speaker, they only learn one skill, get paid to speak. And that is such a dangerous place to be, Bill. And that's why I love teaching people other skills of it, because yeah, if everything gets shut down from a financial crisis, the pandemic, whatever, there's no business, right? If you're using speaking to get coaching, fill mastermind classes, sell courses, many things you can do. Now you have multiple income streams around that skill. So when he realized that, of course, he hired me. I'm still working with him 7 years later, and he is now totally mastered. Most of the time he will waive his speaking fee because he makes so much more speaking and selling. So he's learned both. He can say yes to both, but he will go down and speak at somebody else's event in the salon industry and get 45 minutes in a seminar room with 100 people in the room, maybe, and do an application close to a call. And he will get them on the call and he will do over $100,000. So where can you make $100,000 speaking in 1 hour, right? He didn't even have to put on the event. He didn't have the expense of that. So he does that over and over again and getting into that ideal target market. So his niche, which I helped him figure out, was, okay, you're great at communication. You're teaching communication skills because that's really what helped you be successful as an entrepreneur in the salon industry. These people don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to put their teams together. So he's like this dream from heaven that just came down going, hey, he's somebody that came into our industry. And then it really works really well when you niche in specific industries. And that's how I started. I went into retail because that's what I knew. I'd built and sold retail stores. And so, yeah, he's killing it now, just doing the speaking and selling at other people's events. He doesn't have to do his own events. Another one that is really one of my favorite people to talk about is Stacy. She came to me and she had retired as being an art teacher. And that's all she knew how to do is be an art teacher for 20 years, high school teacher. And then she wanted to speak on the topic of gratitude. She found out that's a really soft topic. People weren't paying her. She's thinking, I want to help people learn this. And then she's going out there and nobody's paying her. So she heard about me through another client, and then she started working with me. We branded her. But here was the key that she could not see is they're not going to pay a lot of money for somebody teaching you gratitude. But what she did is go back to school after she retired from teaching and went to learn neuroscience. So she actually became a neuroscientist and studied how the brain works when it is in gratitude. And I'm like, oh, that's the thing. So she instantly blew up her business. She learned the skills of speaking, learned the skills of speaking and selling, put together courses. Within her first year, it was already 6 figures. And she had never made more than $45,000 a year as a teacher. So I love to say that people that are looking for a side hustle or an extra thing, we all have knowledge that we can share with other people, your life's work, your experience. How could we monetize from that expertise? So what people that come to me, I don't have any idea how to do this, but I know I want to make money from the knowledge I have. And so that's the thing, is probably the biggest thing that they're confused about. Yeah, that sounds so great, but how do I do that and make a lot of money doing that? And so I just nail it just with the brand and then teach them the skill of speaking and selling.
So tell us a bit more about this when you mentioned this idea of the wheel from Glenn. So I know that you don't have if you will, a standardized approach to helping people out. Instead, you custom design it, and if they can't do it, you'll hold their hand and do it for them. So give us one more quick little case study, or maybe just a hypothetical, which would include, Debbie, the different ways that you go about what appears to be teaching somebody how to go up on the stage and speak. And that is, I don't know what, maybe certainly the tip of the iceberg of what you do.
Yeah, so a lot of people come to me. Here's another example. I just got off the phone with her. Another wonderful client of mine, Tony. She was a social worker years ago. She worked at Cabrini Green in Chicago. That's like really tough doing social worker there. That's where she started. She has a whole doctorate, right? But she loves teaching people how to create an intention with vision boards. I said, okay, that's too generic. Like, people don't see the value of that. We have to create a brand around that you're the expert. It's really around creating intention through vision and then making those yummy marketing words and that whole experience that she creates. We're not just going to create the vision board. They're going to walk away with this intention and a plan, and you're going to be doing hot seats with them. And she's sitting there going, because I already see it. Like, I've already done this. And she's, oh, I never even thought of that. I said, yeah, because you can't get your price point up higher if you're just putting them in a vision board thing and we talk about it. That was fun. That was cute. Right now, we got to make it an intention where it actually works. Then you have case studies coming back going, I attended Tony's intention vision board workshop and I achieved this because she taught me how to put the intention together. So with Tony, it was her realizing she could make more money. It's like she'll go back to social work idea, like, oh, I just want to help a few people. And what would I charge just to put it on for a few people? I said, no, we're not thinking like this because that's not how an entrepreneur thinks. They got to think bigger. I said, if you want to have people do this at parties in their home, you're not doing that now. You're going to the big companies. You're going into a team building. She can't think like that. So I help her think that way. And I said, but if you love the idea of these parties for these vision intention board parties, you could sell licensing to people that would teach that. And then they have something like a direct sale because she sells doTERRA oils. They could tie it in and make it like a little seminar, make it fun versus just selling oils, right? It's making people think bigger because a lot of times they will have a vision. And I could say, tell me your goals. Where do you want to be 1 year from now? How much money you want to make? What does your business look like? What do your clients look like? And then I can create that. That's my I would say that's my brilliance is that I can look at it and actually visualize where they can be because I've done that in my own business so many times over that I can see where they can be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and 3 years from now. Because the first year, we got to build your brand, your foundation, right? Get you really clear on what you're going to speak about, who your ideal client is, and we build that. Now we get you out there learning some skills of speaking. And then most people that come to me, they're not coming to me because they want to be a paid professional speaker. They just use the skill of speaking because I position them as an expert, and then they're invited in as an expert who happens to know how to speak. And the goal is usually to sell something, which is different than just being up as a motivational speaker, right?
Yes, indeed. Indeed it is. So my next question really revolves on what you just said, teaching somebody how to be a motivational speaker for some dollars. So tell us more about how you are different, Debbie, than your competition out there.
Yeah, a lot of people will teach platform skills. I say, oh, you've been a professional speaker over 25 years. Teach me how to be a good speaker. No, that's not what I do. I teach them how to make money from speaking. That's the part I love. And that's what set me apart is that I started events and realized that I'm putting all these people, I'm hiring speakers to be on the events to sell, and I get a piece of that action. What if I learned how to do that? And I put on my own event. And so then I started doing that and putting small events, 50 people, 100 people in a room. I'm making multiple six figures continually every single time I do it. So people are coming to me like, whoa, how did you do that? We got to learn how to put together a big package. And then you're selling a mentoring package, a coaching package, whatever that is. And then there's a whole dynamic around events that's like a lot of puzzle pieces. And so I'm getting people now that are coming to me that say, that's how I want to make money, whether they want to make money doing it online or they want to do live events. And lately people are coming to me even more for live events because that's probably my secret sauce because I built it from nothing. And I actually built an international event business and was on a 3-year world tour. And people go, how'd you get on that tour? I created it. I created it. There's people doing events everywhere. I was on their stages. They put the people in the seats and I just set the agenda and went and made the money. And I just did that over and over and over again. But it was me coming out of survival mode when the financial crisis hit. That's why I went internationally and learned that skill. But there's so much money to be made from small events that if people can learn that skill, and they could be dentists, they could be chiropractors, they could be anybody that's been in a business for a long time. I've had a lot of people that are carpet cleaners. They've been in the 30 years, I've been a carpet cleaner. I want to sell my business. What are you going to do next? You're going to be a consultant for other carpet cleaners because you were successful in that. So that's really where the expert comes from. It's right. Those are always my most successful people that took that knowledge of the years of experience they have and put it in that industry. They know their problems. They know how to talk to them, and they got to be like the king or queen of that industry. Hey, here's that go-to expert that's going to cut years of learning curve off of you. And then you're going to want to hire them because they're going to coach you to get you there more successful faster. And that's why I became a mentor and became a consultant. I didn't go to college to learn this. I hired people that were already doing it. Like Bill, it's like I'd come to you and go, teach me what you learned. You're really successful at this, doing these events, and then show me how to do that. And so that's really the key. I think the people that are the most successful, they come from a body of knowledge that they really got an industry and go, I want to teach them how to be successful. And that's where I started. I didn't know there was even money in this business to begin with. I just knew I was talking to a lot of small business owners that didn't know how to run retail stores. And that's where I started 25 years ago, because I know every single thing they're thinking.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Let me ask you this. You built a 2.5 decade old business so far. Looking back on that growth, Debbie, what were the major milestones that happened along the way, and what were the lessons you learned from those milestones as a businesswoman?
That's a great question. I would say I'm going to share a milestone that also was so big that it was terrifying. Because I got spanked for being successful, I guess you would say. I had a partner, we were doing small events in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we would put 20 people in a room. We're like, okay, she's a coach, I'm a coach, and we can speak and do this. And so we just started doing that. And then we said, hey, let's go big. Let's get a ballroom and then just put a bunch of people in the room. We'll bring other speakers in. And so we launched big. And we had the other speakers promote it, and we got all the heavy hitters, like everybody you could think of it back then were the heavy hitters. And it wasn't done before. Like, you're going to go to an event, you're going to see 12 heavy hitter speakers you want to see that are like dynamic, right? So they trusted us. They came. We put 600 people in a room, had a huge ballroom, and we made $500,000 in a weekend from going from little tiny event to this. And we really didn't even know what we were doing. Money, the first day we lost so much money, we were freaking out. And then the second day, T. Harv Eker teaches the Millionaire Mind. He turned it. And then it was like, then it was just rolling, and people are in the back of the room throwing money at all these different things. And it was just absolutely incredible. What would happen, even though I was contacted my credit card company, because I was told ahead of time to do that, the fraud department, is they're going to freeze your account if so much money comes in, because you're not making $500,000 coming in a weekend. And I thought I took care of that, but I didn't. So a month went by and they're still asking me for receipts, and they're holding my funds. And then they're telling me they're going to hold my funds for another 6 months. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So here I had this incredibly successful event, and gave me a name in this business, because it was all men doing the big events back then. And her and I, two women, came out of nowhere and went, and nobody saw us like this under the water. Oh my gosh, what do we do now? But I went back to the speakers, asked them to run their own charges and pay us when they got it. We probably end up losing at least 150,000 just because the money was frozen. But it was the big launch. It was the big risk. I remember my partner even saying we had gone to the Mark Victor Hanks and Jack Canfield events. Back then they were doing these author events, and they were like, they owned the stage back then. And they would continually put hundreds of people in the room. So they had this huge stage production, and this production company, it was like, you'd walk in the room and it'd be like, whoa. And she's, we need to hire that guy. I'm like, oh, that's going to be like, that's really out there. I already called him, and he's just going to fly out from California. He's going to fly out from LA and just have a conversation with us. So we found out, and this was 2005. It was $30,000 for the whole stage production and the audio back then. And we thought about it, and we said, we got to go all in. We're either going to go big or go home. And so it was like these people in the industry, the high level speakers in the industry that we had on stage, would come in, and their jaw would drop. And I remember T. Harv Eker even told me, I'm not going to show up live unless you have at least 500 people there. I said, I will. And he was blown away. And so that gave me a name. So I would say that was probably the biggest, because it was a really big risk. We ended up turning it around and still did very well. But yeah, I'm holding my breath even telling that story now, Bill. I don't think at my age now that I want to go back and do that again. But it did launch. It launched us big time.
That's a great milestone. Tell us about another one of those? Maybe not quite so dramatic.
Okay, so another one where I'm thinking about is like fearful. When the financial crisis hit in 2008, I had just reached my certified speaking professional. I'm like, oh, I have made it, because now I'm one of the top 3 professional women in the world, making most money, getting most clients. I'm like, I reached that pinnacle. And again, got slapped down off the pinnacle because the financial crisis hit and there was no business. And I was a one-trick pony. That's all the income I had. I wasn't doing any consulting back then. I didn't even think about it. I just thought I'm going to grow this career. I'm going to be one of the best. And I was. I did exactly what I should do. And then there was no business. So I was like, what am I going to do? And then I decided to go international. And that's when I turned my business into that 3-year world tour. I was like, there's meetings everywhere. Like, why would they're going to need speakers? What if I traveled and I did events everywhere? And then I just kept learning the skill of speaking and selling, which is completely different than getting paid to speak. And so that's how I stayed 3 years, because I couldn't come back to the States and run my business like it was. It was a reinvention that was done all over the world. And figuring it out as we did it. Because here's the thing, Billy, this, when you see a need and you see a problem, or you see something that you can do, you go, you don't look in the small pond, look at a much bigger pond. And just also look at it where I didn't have any choice to fail, because a lot of people just went, oh, the financial crisis is bad and I'm going to lose everything. And a lot of people did. And it was tough on me too, but I need to survive. And so I was willing to do whatever it took. And I think that's why I was so willing to really learn to master this and create that tour. That I look back and pinch myself. I actually did an event in New Zealand with a zero database list. No, I just wanted to go to New Zealand for a month and hang out. So it's like, I teach people, like, if you learn the skill of speaking, you can get your free vacations. And so I signed an agreement with a hotel in Auckland, New Zealand. And then I went and did 5 or 6 speaking engagements and sold tickets to that event, and came back a few months later, did my event, full room, 2 sponsors, everything, with no database list. So that's what I love teaching, Bill, because it's like, I don't care. Somebody comes to me, they don't have a database list even. Can they make money doing this? Can they put people in the room? Yeah, they just don't know how to do it. I figured it out of survival and kind of like figuring out what works. Like you figured out a system for your podcast and everything. It's like, it takes a process to do it, and you just don't give up. You just keep going.
Oh, excellent. Those are two. So do you have one more major milestone you can tell us about?
Oh gosh.
You mentioned a partner. I'm curious about, so the partner is no longer part of your enterprise, or
Right.
she is?
I've had different partners at different things. So that partner that I had in Arizona when we built the big event, we had a very specific partnership that was very good. Let's do this. Let's only do it in the state of Arizona. We're going to build it and we're going to sell it. So we actually built it, and then we were ready to sell it. I said, let's create seminar business in a box. And so I said, then people are going to buy that and they're going to want to have a consulting fee with us. And then when they do consulting, we're going to find one of those people who's going to buy it. And that's exactly what we did. We created a product, how to do it, like audio tapes. And then when she was in my office, actually, when we were talking to that one gentleman, and I said, this is our buyer. Let's just change this conversation. Let him buy this business. So that was a great business partnership. Another one, the international tour, that it was a good partnership. It lasted, but again, it served its purpose, because as a true entrepreneur, Bill, we get tired of stuff like, okay, I've achieved this, what's next? And then you're taking it to another level, or I'm going to challenge myself some way. And the partnership got a little off kilter, that we both went in different directions. Just like any relationship, if you don't have the same goals, it changes. But finding partners, you got to be just really specific and going, it may just be a project, right? So my mission now, my heart mission now, is helping other people. That really, my number one thing is to do exactly what I've done, I told you about, is somebody that comes to me and says, I want to create like women's events. I want to create events for dentists, and I want to do national. I want to create whatever that they want, that they don't know how to do it or make money from it. That's what I love doing. So they'll hire me for a long time, and I'll be going to their events, like watching every detail and really getting to the point where you're building $1 million business very quickly.
So what do you see is holding you back right now in your business? What's the biggest obstacle?
I think as you get to a point, Bill, that you go, this is the piece I want to do. You have done so many things in your career, and you're like, okay, where can I really leave a legacy? Is I can teach more people to do events. That's what I'm going to do. That's a smaller niche. So now I'm taking that niche. Not that I'm not taking clients that want to build, their expertise and learn to speak and sell. The ones I want are the big fish. I want the big fish. So I don't want as many personal clients anymore. I want a handful of big fish that get the wisdom that I have, get the value that I bring, and work with them on long-term retainer type of programs and actually see them, be there with them, watch their business just blow up. That I'm juiced about. I'm excited about that. I've got a couple clients like that now. Yeah, in fact, we belong to the same mastermind. I know I'm going to get more clients from that. Where do I have to find that source? Where are those people at? So sometimes you get to a point where you're like, how do I now take it from solo entrepreneur to a corporate market? You got to get through the gatekeeper, and how to get to those people. So you find out it takes a lot of brainstorming once you shift to a different ideal client, right? Especially when I want to work less, make more, which means you narrow it down. You got to get the big fish to work less and make more from the handful of people.
Right. Yeah, the big fish would prefer that you work less, i.e., quickly, and give them big returns. They don't want
That's what they
long.
want.
They don't
They
want
don't want to
long.
go. Yeah, they don't care if it takes a year or two, as long as they're seeing the growth, right? Because they get it, and you love that because you're involved. I'm like part of the business. But they don't want group programs. They want, hey, teach me one-on-one. I don't care. Yeah, I'll pay more money for that. They don't want to go the long route. They're willing to throw the money at it because they see the value on the other end. You don't have to
Right.
sell your value. You don't have to push that. They already see it. You positioned yourself to where they see, okay, you've already done this. I want to do that. Again, sharing your life's work, whatever that is, monetizing from it.
How can our various listeners, Debbie, get hold of you? How can they contact you?
They can go to my website, debbieallen.com, DEBIEALEN.com. Remember the name, like fame, right? debbieallen.com. I've also got a great landing page where there's $200 of free gifts. I'll share that one. Positioningsuccess.com. So expertpositioningsuccess.com. There is a 30-minute video that walks you through that wheel, which is all the income streams you can create around the knowledge you already have, monetize your expertise. And then there's an action plan and a business plan on there, one-page business plan. And that's actually where I start with people. Where do you want to be 1 year from now? What kind of things you want to do? We have a conversation and go, okay, let's create these income streams. Let's put them in that business plan. And then I'll help you develop those. And then there's a free copy of my book, Expert Positioning. My newest book is on there as well. So all those free goodies are for your peeps.
And that landing page again is?
Expertpositioningsuccess.com.
What's the one question that maybe I should have thought of and asked you, Debbie, that I didn't, that would give great value to our audience? And then once you tell me the question, give us the answer too, please.
Yeah, I think what has kept me a successful entrepreneur for all of those years. And there's a couple things. One is do whatever it takes to succeed, because the other fear would be I'd have to go get a job. Never had one, never applied for one in my life. A true entrepreneur has got to figure it out. And sometimes you're going to get to the point where you don't know the answer, no matter how long you've been in business, and then you hire a coach. So if you're stagnant or you're not growing, you hire another coach. You get the new motivation, you get new stuff. And especially when you're an expert, you got to keep learning all the time. So it's doing whatever it takes and keep learning and never giving up on your dream. Otherwise, if you don't feel you have those skills or can do that, entrepreneurialism is not for you. But if you want to be independent and you want to have an unlimited funds and unlimited opportunity and financial freedom, you want to be an entrepreneur. I wouldn't change it.
So thanks, Debbie. Your insights and inspirations have been fantastic. Great to listen to you.
No, thank you so much. I take that as a big compliment coming from you, Bill.
Thank you very much. Now, everybody, in closing, and Debbie covered this, focus on the fact that businesses do not become extraordinary in a single moment. Instead, they get there as a result of the owner first creating a visionary strategy, second, using a system of management to execute that strategy, and number three, leveraging high-performance teams, whether they're your employees or outside assets like Debbie Allen. You can get your hands on exactly how to do those three. Just go to my YouTube channel, which is at Business Mastery Pro. Thanks for listening. Debbie, once again, thanks for sharing your time with us today.
My pleasure, Bill. Thank you, Bill.